Good afternoon, Scott Redler, T3 Live. Well, it's a Monday, and some action here and there, some continuation of recent trends, some days off depending on the name, and some pulling in a little bit. Just wherever you look, there's lots of different types of action going on. First things first is the S&P did touch the all-time high, backed off a little bit, and we'll see, I guess, what happens tomorrow. You look at the S&P, you look at the size of the move that has transpired from about a week or so ago, a little bit more. That's when everybody was pretty much being taken out to the woodshed, long and short, and then boom. And now we're right back at the highs. And just about when nobody wants to be short again, we'll see what happens here. If we could consolidate going across above this 2120 to then break out, or do we let the moving averages catch up? But as of right now, really not waiting for anyone. A little bit of a doji close, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. The Qs that have led this market has a little bit of a doji close also. So if you've been waiting for, I don't know, some kind of cute short, maybe this is a small signal, but I think the money's been made more on the long side, especially in the select names. A lot of guys, did buy here or bought the gap up and sold a little early, so they feel like they're revenging to the short side because of all the money they didn't make by selling early. But anyway, we'll see what happens. As of now, you have today's low to trade against, and then you have this gap right here. Wouldn't be so bad if they let these moving averages catch up, so everyone didn't feel like they were chasing the market, because that's basically the feel right now. The pain trade has been to the upside. Guys caught short who were short 2 weeks ago and said, I'm going to roll it up, it's going to come back. They've had to make some adjustments and figure out if they could take the pain, or they probably covered the last day or so. And then you have guys that tried to be in portfolio, pick the right names, make some money, stay with trades, and most people like me, sold a few things a little early, but are trying to navigate. For one of the names we've been focusing on is Facebook. What a friggin' move! If you sold this name early, it happens. You had a buyable pivot here, then all of a sudden held the prior high, and then went again. Okay, I think a lot of us repositioned right here, and then got paid on Friday, and then I actually took some home long again, and sold a little early today. But look how extended we are from the moving averages. And at this point, the real bulky money you would think in this little swing trade from above 83 or above 89 has been made, and you have earnings a week away. So we'll see what happens there. As far as Apple, it has earnings tomorrow. Came right into the upper end of the range, didn't let a short breathe. There are some people who are probably short this name, who didn't cover, on this, basic trap. This was a seller's trap. Closed near lows, opened up, and engulfed the upper end of this area. So if you didn't cover there, you pretty much had to cover when it went sideways here. Then some guys actually probably got long when it broke this descending channel, and now you're back in the upper end of the range, and we'll see what happens going into tomorrow's earnings. I'll talk more about this tomorrow. Amazon, same thing. Amazon, look at the size of this move. So hopefully you're not just revenging it. For me, I've let it go already. I played it a lot of times in this range, whereas, tried to position here for this type of move, but the market wasn't ready. Did catch a decent trade in this small part of the range, which would be, the range that I usually catch. I usually don't stick around for the second part of it. Maybe I should learn how to do that a little bit better, but these 1 to 3 day moves definitely can pay some bills, but the bigger moves are what I guess get you more traction. But anyway, it traded above this double upgrade today, came off highs. Earnings are on Wednesday. What a big move. And I think at this point, if you did buy it in this channel and you added on the breakout, maybe you sell some. We'll figure out where we are closer to earnings. IBM did come out, and a lot of people started to think that whatever happened, it was priced in. And at this point, I think it's down $4 or $5. So, I don't know how much the market's going to really care, because IBM has been a laggard for the majority of the past 2 years, where if you look at the chart, it really hasn't done much. From the highs here all the way down, it did have a little bit of a reflex move. They did say that their server business or their cloud business was real strong, so the cloud business being strong might actually have some people think, Amazon, could have good earnings because a lot of their business is done in the cloud. Maybe you look at VMW tomorrow, see how it handles it. The stock's kind of broken also. Maybe it gets a little bit of a bounce. We'll see. Tesla was a good one for us today. It started to, this stock's been pretty much back on the go-to list ever since it broke back above this, descending channel that we had right here. Okay. Then it reclaimed the 200-day, and since then it's been pretty much above the 8 and 21-day thereafter. There was one little pullback here, and now this is where it is, versus the highs, and it did this with oil coming in. So that shows you how strong this is. We'll see what happens tomorrow, but overall, for some guys today, this was a decent trade. We had some pivots to follow today, and it kind of opened. It opened flattish, and then the real clean trade was above this. And then gave you another trade here before pulling back. I still have some left. I had it on from Friday. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I also have a little SHAK left over. They announced a secondary. What's it called, after hours? So we'll see what happens. This was in a nice clean trend, in the start of this public life, and then it got a little choppy. I remember being short here, broke trend right into this spot. Now the question is, what's going to happen tomorrow? We'll figure it out. I think they're selling 4 million shares of insiders. So maybe that was an overhang. Maybe the market makers or the institutions back involved didn't want to buy up here or down here. And now that it's being placed, perhaps the shorts get squeezed, or maybe it's too much pressure for them to, for the stock to withstand. I don't know. I'm going to see what happens. I have a tier 1, and I'll wait till tomorrow. Gave you a quick little trade from here into this, and I guess, with broken names, trying to play catch up, you're prone to stuff like this, and maybe this helps. I don't know. Maybe gets the shares out of the way, and then, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm not that committed to it, as far as if it opens lower and doesn't, regroup or go green, I'll probably just get out of the way and say, you know what, I'm not going to touch the stock for a while. As far as the other names that reported earnings, Google and Netflix both reported good reports, and both took off. Netflix on Friday was a sell the open, and then today had some downside follow through. We'll see how this stock reacts in the next day or so. We all made some decent money on Friday, and then some guys got paid when it broke below the prior low. I actually tried to buy the dip a little bit today. It didn't work, so I got away from it. I guess we'll see what happens here, where the gap is, and you also get a point of reference right there, depending on how we open. 110.14 is our new point of reference. This 107.68, and then we'll see what happens here. So into this area, we'll figure out what's next. But overall, some guys that sold Friday and held in today did a lot better than those trying to buy a dip. So we'll see. Google did act better. Google came off first, okay, and and then wound up holding above the gap and closed pretty well. So we'll see how long it lasts in here, and then we'll see if perhaps it makes a higher high above 703. At this point, you go to the weekly chart, and it's had a big move, but overall, you would think the measured move of this, if you say from 500 to as high as 615, that's actually one part of the measured move, all done in earnings. So it'd actually be very frustrating if all of a sudden, that was it. You had to own it into earnings and there's no extra trades, but I don't think that'll be the case. We'll see how many days it has to hang out in here before perhaps taking out 703. If it happens to, get into this gap, I think some traders will probably sell it and then figure out, where we get a reversal type pattern here. Some are asking me, why did I buy this WPX? I don't really know much about it. All I know is that, the whole sector has been battered and bruised, and there was a lot of news out about how 3 or 4 different insiders bought stock, I think, yesterday. So usually that means they're trying to show people that they have faith in their business, and sometimes they're early, sometimes they're not. We'll see. I bought a little bit, so you'll see that on my disclosure overnight. It's very extended lower from the moving averages, but so are all these oil names, because you have oil breaking down. We'll see what happens if it works its way back to the lows. USOs broke this, hold on, let me get this, my little pen, this little inside channel right there. And now it seems like it's heading back towards lows. People are, gold, it's been absolutely annihilated. Look at it, below all the moving averages for basically, the majority of this year. So it's been more of a short than a long. I've shown you the weekly chart that you can go into my archives on my Twitter. So many times I talked about, if you're a gold bug, don't have opinions, you could always get back in. And the GLDs, first thing was a trend that broke right here, okay? And then it came back up pretty much and retested this area and failed. Then I remember putting this wedge pattern in here saying, get ready to make adjustments. And if you didn't do it there, this was major macro support that broke way back when, around 1,500 an ounce. Now here we are all the way down here. here's another level, very important, that just broke. I don't know how much more downside follow-through you're going to get, but I know there's still some room in the charts down towards where it broke out around 96 or 100. But now that every single person on TV is talking about the weakness and how much more to the downside it could happen, it always tells me that perhaps you should cover some if you're short. But truly, the measured move from 126 below 110 is about 16, and that would get you down to about 94. It all depends on your time frame, but hasn't given you a buy signal yet. And if you've been in it because you think it's an inflation trade, it's a safety trade, it's a this trade, it's a that trade, talked a long time ago how gold lost its identity, and I think some people would rather have a six-pack of Sam Adams or a case and a pie of pizza versus a bar of gold if calamity hits. But anyway, unless you want to use it as a weapon. At this point, still below every moving average, trend to the downside, no buy signal yet. I guess they could come in, and I wouldn't be surprised if the market wants to make everyone look really horrendous, especially, with a trap to the upside, but it probably would be short-lived. So if you were short this last break below 110, hopefully into this little move you covered some. And if you're sticking with it, again, there's been no signal to buy it except for it's becoming oversold, and that sometimes doesn't work. So with all that said, some signs that maybe, we pause a little bit. Morgan Stanley, they sold a good report. I wasn't sure what they were going to do. Said it's always good to take some profits, into new highs on a report. So we'll see what happens here if it could hold above this 39.62. Goldman Sachs is still a little wishy-washy, but so we'll see what happens here in the banks. I think it'll be a good gauge to see whether or not this holds this 110, this 210. I would think that if the market's going to make new highs successfully, this is going to get above this 214. So see how it handles this spot. And then we have Apple and Amazon later this week, and we'll see if we could actually buy a little bit of a pullback in some of these earnings plays instead of having to just jump in them after hours and trade them, and then all of a sudden they just grind and go out of play. It's Monday. Hopefully you did well. I think guys in the in the VTF are doing really well. They caught the rally and took some of the meat and potatoes out, and now I know guys are trying to feel around to figure out if they could get a cute short or even nibble on some. I think guys were talking about the nugget. Guys that bought China into the belly of the beast when they had the overthrow. So if that's you trying it, the reversion to the mean sometimes do work, but it's you have to have a very strong stomach to handle it. And I think this week we're going to get some more action. Just stay even keel, and we'll figure out what's next. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.